You've turned something that should be a question of engineering and economics into undiluted ideology and idiocy.
That's okay, is it? It's okay to be a propagandist for one side, but if one is a critic or sceptic about some of these issues, that's not okay.
And so what you've just disclosed is the fundamental problem that the company you work for and its friends in politics like Trump and others have turned this issue of physics into an issue of values or identity. Now, saying that you believe or disbelieve in global warming is like saying you believe or disbelieve in gravity. You've turned something that should be a question of engineering and economics into undiluted ideology and idiocy, and we are paying the price in delayed action to address global warming. And your employer, Paul, has got a huge share of the blame for this. It is a shocking legacy.
Now, listen, I don't think it's correct to say that the votes cast at recent elections, where the party that had the more radical and proactive stance in terms of taking action on climate change, that they were beaten, and those parties have been beaten, and this is essentially because of News Corporation, OK? I think you exaggerate the impact that we have.
That's what Rupert always used to say to me. He'd say, oh, we don't have a very big audience, we're not that influential. Talk to Lachlan. Look, I've had all of that flannel for years. The reality is News Corp and Murdoch have done enormous damage to Western democracy and in particular to the United States and Australia, and in particular on the subject of global warming. You know, we had 12 million hectares of our country burnt last summer, and your newspapers were saying it was all the consequence of some arsonists. And James Murdoch was so disgusted, he dissociated himself from the family business. Now, what does that tell you? How offensive, how biased, how destructive does it have to be, Paul, before you will say, one of our greatest writers and journalists, it's enough, I'm out of it? I mean, how long will you keep apologising?
Malcolm, how dare you start telling me what I should do in terms of my career?
I'm asking you to speak up.
Lecture me about what moral position I should take.
How dare I do it? I dare to do it. And I'm saying to you, Paul, it is about time that people that work for the Murdoch organisation speak up and say publicly what they say privately. Speak up and do what James Murdoch had the courage to do, and clearly too many of the employees do not.